there's so much that we need to like metabolize as a human society and figure out where do we go from here. And so while there's joy, purpose, fulfillment, gladness that can come through and connection through art and expressive therapies, it also holds us in our discomfort, in our rage, in our grief, in our frustration, in our confusion. And that's part of the creative process, I think, for me, is like the generative act of figuring it out and making choices along the way is really informative then to how we can show up in our advocacy for whatever we believe in. So hopefully that feels like a nice little pin for a moment. Thank you, Eve, for your visual art. Thank you, Shelley, for writing the foreword to my book. Last but not least, we'll have the torch passed to Jess McIntosh, Shawn Baldessero in the Chicago area. Jess and I are friends from way back when I lived in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. We used to have lady brunch together. All the gals in the neighborhood would get together and eat eggs and drink too much coffee and then ride bikes around the county all afternoon. And then years later, I said, these songs, I want them to be real. And Jess was one of a few people that I reached out to produce the music. So thank you, Jess. Thank you, Shawn, for making this album. And if you want to share a little tidbit of your insights, and then we'll get some movement in.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that. It's really fun to be here and to reflect on where we've come in our friendship and just to like be able to put this project into the world. And at that time when we met, I was studying social work in college and also have been playing music my whole life. And so it's been interesting as I age and sort of find really who I am and how I can put all these things that are part of my experience toward what I feel I contribute to the world is both musical and therapeutic. And it was really cool how when you approached me with this project, I had no idea that's what it would end up being for. Really, I kind of was like, yeah, cool. Sherry wrote these songs for her kids. Yeah, we'll record them. It'll be so fun. And as it grew and we sort of received all the files, and I think both of our favorite parts of the whole process was sort of digesting the initial recordings of them and then just dreaming like what could we possibly do to make this song the coolest thing ever. And so it was like listing stuff it made us think of, or like foods or colors or emotions that we had, and just sort of like making a little bubble of each one, and then finding the things. Like one of the songs was like, I'm picturing like, that scene where like Aladdin rides in and the key change and it happens and then like all the elephants drop. So we just got to like sort of draw these imaginary pictures of everything we could do and then sort of dig through. I'm also a music teacher, so this is our teaching studio and Shawn's a recording engineer. So we have all these little toys that we had yet to use together on a project to make something full. So it was a really important thing to us too, to get to work together all the way through something this diverse. But we got to dig out lots of fun little tools and make sound effects and sort of just dream big about the sounds. And then we sent it all to Sherry and we worked together really beautifully. It was a pretty seamless process over the sort of fitting it in when we both could fit it around everything else in our lives. And 2 years later, we've got a whole album of everything from barbershop quartets to rock and roll ballads to folk banjo fiddle numbers and sweet lullabies and grounding sort of like single guitar gospel sounding vocals. I don't know, anything stand out that you wanted to share, Shawnee?
Specifically.
I'm just really excited to share this with all the people in our lives who are new mothers or who are looking forward to that, and that's something that we're looking forward to in the future. So it'll be a really special thing to keep on digesting into the world, like you said, Sherry.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah,
So
it's so
that's what we're
cool
gonna
to reconnect years later in our friendship and to collaborate with both of you, moving through the process of your relationship. And in the meanwhile, they got engaged while they were
Yeah.
while they were producing the album.